Candyman, 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 Candyman. Oh, I'm a big fan of these urban legend type stories. I find them fascinating how stories can, evolve over time and pass from, person to person like a game of telephone, and how they evolve over the years into these stories that even though people don't believe, they still fear. And it is an interesting thing to study. And I like the premise of this film on these girls who are trying to see the, societal implications of something like this, how it can actually scare a community into believing that murders that are taking place are being done by something they should know better. They should know that this isn't realistic and not possible. I also like that this film plays the more, psychological angle of, is Candyman actually real? Or does Virginia Madsen's character, while studying this, get so wrapped up in her thought process towards it that she actually starts to believe it herself, to the point that she starts committing murders as Candyman, because anyone who sees Candyman with her ends up dead and not able to talk. And when she's shown the video footage of when Candyman visits her hospital room, there's no one there, and no one throughout this film ever sees Candyman but her, unless they die. So I do think that this film, up until basically the last scene when the husband is killed by her in the reflection, you could cut that like little bit off there, and the whole rest of the film would play out with a, is this her, is this not? And I really like films that play that angle, where you can watch them one way and go back and watch them a completely different way, and it works. It's a big reason of why I like Ty West's The Innkeepers. Play it one way, think of it like this, and it works. Play it again and think of it this way, and it totally works. And this film has that. Now, I do think that this was supposed to be one story, and the sequels probably were just tacked on because it made money, which is typical and usual. But I still like that this film primarily makes you wonder. The theme music for this movie is something that I write to. I write scripts and novels, and the theme of this is hauntingly beautiful. And for some reason, when I'm writing, it seems to just flow better. Like I'm almost playing to the rhythm of the song, and it's like flowing out of me like I'm playing a piano instead of a keyboard. And I seem to write really well while this song is on. I also really like that this film was shot in the projects, and that it was actually shot in the projects, and that they had to make a deal with one of the gangs there, and the gang wanted to be in the film. Otherwise, they would, destroy the crew's set and whatnot. So they put them in, and then they eventually even got shot at on the last day anyway. No one was hurt, but it gives the film a realness to it. It feels, it feels like you're there. It gives authenticity to the locations, and it makes them feel scary. Some of the scariest parts of the film is when she's in the apartment buildings, and you never, you're not sure if she's going to get killed by gang members, if she's going to get killed by Candyman. You don't know what the hell is going to happen in there. And when she's sneaking in through the other room and the friend's waiting, there's a lot of tension in that moment, because it's like, who's in there? Is it a derelict? Is it Candyman? Is it, who knows? So there's a lot of those, scenes with a lot of dread. And I actually had to go and look up why he was called Candyman, because they don't really explain it in the film. And in the short story that Clive Barker wrote, they said that the people in the projects would leave candy, as an offering to Candyman, so that he wouldn't come for them. So I thought that they could have explained that better. They get into his origins a little bit. I know they get into the origins even more in the later films, but I thought that that's something that they probably should have. I really like the graffiti on the wall it added to, and I think that's probably mostly real graffiti, but it felt, urban like it should. This movie was very well shot, very well directed, and very well acted. Virginia Madsen carried this film. She's not a name that I usually gravitate towards, but I have a newfound respect for her from this film. I have watched it before, but I really like her in this a lot. I think she carried this very well. And another thing that she did that most lead actresses in horror movies like this did was that she, got nude or naked for a couple scenes. They were classy shots and whatnot, but you don't usually see that from a lead girl in these movies. And but she did end up dying, so I guess that still goes to those horror movie cliches and rules set up by Scream, I guess. She this movie takes about 45 minutes before Candyman shows up, and Candyman isn't really in this film a whole bunch, which also kind of lends to the idea that maybe it's her committing these murders, and I kind of like to watch it like that, from that different standpoint. Even though in the sequels that Candyman is real, it's fun to watch it like maybe she's crazy. And Tony Todd is an actor who has been in tons of horror movies now. And when you think of his name, it's instantaneously Candyman. He's just Candyman. This is his role. This is his film. But it's interesting to think that there are a few other series that have ran, multiple sequels that he's in pretty much every, entry in that franchise. Final Destination, Hatchet. It's weird to think like Tony Todd, because when I think of Final Destination, when I think of Hatchet, I don't think of Tony Todd. If I'm talking about them, I'll eventually come to him on that, but he is the main reoccurring character in the Final Destination series. But when you think of Tony Todd, you think of this. No matter what he's done since, he's always Candyman, which isn't a bad thing. I wish that he would have been in this a little more, but it's okay, as I said, because it plays off of that. Did she do it? Did she not? We get a quick glimpse of Ted Raimi in this. I like that he pops up in all sorts of shit. I like that. This is a very tragic tale. Candyman just wants his family back, and the only way that he can get this family back is by, in most horror movies, especially slasher type flicks, the killer is just out to kill. He's out to, kill the friends and then kill the final girl or the final people. And in this one, he isn't trying to kill the main character. He's trying to kill everyone around her so that she has no one left, that she's framed for murder, and then she has nowhere else to run but to him so that he can keep her as his. He wants his family back. He steals the kid. He frames her for murder. Her husband starts, she has literally nowhere else to go. And it's just a very sad tale all around. Everyone is left with nothing at the end. So I like it, but it's very sad. This whole film is pretty sad. One thing that's inconsistent here is Candyman's ability to morph in and out of situations. When you say his name, he pops into the room. He pops into a bunch of different places within this film, the parking garage and the hospital, whatever. But then when they light up the whole, the collected wood and garbage, whatever that they have there, that is that fire pit, she escapes by just crawling out of it. And he can't escape somehow. He can't just morph out like he always does. And that also further goes to the point, well, maybe that's because he wasn't really in there. And that was just her perception of what she thought would happen to him if she left him in there. So that's why I said I really like watching this movie from the perspective that maybe she's just crazy. As I said, the sequels obviously suggest that he's very much real. Not even suggest, they outright say it. But I like, just if you watch this movie as one self-contained thing, that you can watch it that way. The ending scene, the whole ending of this movie is a little bit confusing and a little off to me. Number one, I don't know if the people from the projects are actually forgiving her and coming and being like, you know, we're here to pay our respects, we were wrong. Because it kind of feels like that, but it also feels like you're Candyman and you should be buried with your hook. She like throws, you know, he comes and he throws the fucking hook on her grave. Like, you need to be buried with this. So I'm guessing more than likely that they're there to pay respects. Like, they believe her that it was Candyman. They found the hook and they're like, look, we know it wasn't you. You know, and the kid says, I saw Candyman go in there. And they clearly believe in it as a group. Like, the whole area seems to believe in it. So they're on her side. It's shot in a weird way to where I'm like, because none of the other ones gather around her grave. They're not like holding hands and like, so that's weird. And then as far as like her husband calling her name 5 times in the mirror, it's a scene that I'm okay with. Like, she should have been the one to get revenge. I think murder for leaving your wife's a little harsh, but if anyone's gonna kill her, although there is a part of me that kind of wishes it was Candyman on the flip side, like he was getting it back at him for her because he now loved her or whatever, but now would set up sequels. But then that would kind of take away from it being that Candyman actually did die, and maybe she was the one doing it. Who knows? So, yeah, it was all over the place with that ending. I'm looking forward to these sequels. I didn't love this one, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. So, I will go get to those. So, let me know what you think of this series. I'm definitely curious. I don't really hear anyone talk about the sequels. I just posted about these in my horror group that I'm in, and a lot of people in there were like, love the first one. I've never seen the sequels, which is not usual. Usually if you love the first one, you check out at least a sequel or two to see if it's any, especially if like the main character, like Tony Todd, returns. So I don't know. I've seen these sequels. I remember 2 being very good as well, and I remember 3 not being very good, but let's hope I'm wrong and they're both great. So I'm going to go get to those. All right, guys.